in common despite being from different places and focusing on a broad set of
despite, of course, a High Court ruling in Cable over 20 years ago that preventive detention.
Can't go to certain schools. But despite all of that, you lived in an environment of people who said it was still
in spite of the challenges, even despite of the heartbreaks, God can turn that around and use it for our.
Once here, despite of the language barriers and obstacles, they were determined to make a living for
people. It was even the largest synagogue of the world then.
Despite of the religious freedom the Dutch Jews relished,
terms of developments despite of this advantage. Ironclad techniques were
or maybe you have chosen that anyway despite of other people's judgments, and you saw
of you, in spite of all the many grand things that you do.
Oh my goodness.
We champion these principles not despite of our traditions, but because of them. We heed the words of the Jewish prophet
and moving forward despite of it, and taking deep breaths and making decisions.
Despite my anxiety, my team was able to successfully resuscitate
and grew in spite of the fact that it had limited enrollment was because
mixture. And it was a very positive outcome in spite of the fact that of course they do.
Despite of the whole diversity that we see. So it's really like a particular
the heart of it is biodiversity itself, because the more biodiversity.
Directing, I was surprised to learn that despite its estimated main audience of middle
cross, despite, of course, later Gnostic interpretations which suggested that Simon himself.
And you'll learn about it on this course. Despite it being created over 40 years ago, it was already in use to control.
But we can decide to act despite of our fears. One of the originators of cognitive
it is awesome, not because of us, not despite of us. And I really want.
And in spite of what it looks like, they're going to be that because of the power of the Spirit and the prayers.
And the light fall on it. And despite of the garbage and the dirt and the water, the unclean water which was there.
We want to have students who are tolerant despite of that.
We had to figure out a way to make something, both despite of and eventually working with all of that disparity. And that
despite its colossal size, the Puertosaurus has been pipped to the post to seize the top spot.
Cases despite of us. It's worth recognizing this as a reality and to take
power. But despite all of its flaws, experts generally agree. The UN created